Hi, everybody, and welcome to another fun-filled, we hope, night of Candlekeep Mysteries. When we left our heroes last time, they had come back from Baldur's Gate, leaving Ifan behind, who had had a bit of a religious shift in thought and decided to stay and study with one of the clerics there for a while. At Candlekeep, the group picked up Galwin, and as they were discussing how to move on in life, a raven dropped a book on them, basically. And Ting, being the sort of person she is, opened the book and started looking at it, and a map fell out, and then suddenly Ting started disappearing and almost like being sucked into the book, and everybody went, "Oh my God," and grabbed at Ting, and poof, ended up goodness knows where in an abandoned town, which they explored, found out it was called Which Way, which matched one of the items on the map they'd found. They also found a charmingly half-decayed dead body, as I recall, or maybe already skeletal, and some very friendly pigs that weren't friendly at all and attacked them, and they had a healthy battle with the pigs, and then decided, I think, well, they were at the very least hung up to be bled, have the blood drained out. There was some talk of smoking and barbecues and whatnot, but that's
At
about
the
where we
at
left
the
our
very
hero.
least, breakfast.
Yes. And what I will ask now is for everybody to go around and introduce themselves, who they are on the server, and who they're playing in this game.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sacco, the old grognard, headmaster over there at Nat 20 Academy. I'm playing as Rain Maravek, a tiefling barbarian who is just way too juvenile for his own good, likes to get into mischief and talk way too much. And as of recently, I have taken on the totem of the bear path of barbarians, so now I can stand there and get eaten by rats and not take quite as much damage.
Tequila, over on Nat 20. I am in charge of the DM and training program. I am playing Minok Silverbit, a gnome armor artificer who loves books and is best friends with Winnie. And yeah, that's all I got tonight.
Bloody Snowman. I've been running a few games as a dungeon master and playing for a little over a year and a half. And I come to the table with Stubby Stormbluff, a archaeologist ranger. And I'm good friends with Rain. We have been carousing around together for some years.
I get into gambling debt. He finds stuff in ancient locations. It is what it is.
And I'm Chris Burson, otherwise known as a Crafty DM on the Nat 20 servers. I'm a digital map maker and been a DM since way too long, back in the Carter administration. And so yeah, Ting Ting is a precocious young arcane trickster who likes kind of getting into trouble, but more on the innocent side, I would say.
I am Star Snarf over at Nat 20. I am the teacher student coordinator. I am playing Galwin Arentel, a gemborn dragonborn druid. She is kind of the grandmother of the group.
And I am Dryad, the student liaison over at Nat 20. And for the time being, until I get off the hook, I am the DM for this happy crew of kind of uncontrollables sometimes, but so far they've been nice to me. We'll see how they get through tonight.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
And just keep promising us bacon and it'll be fine.
So we're going to take up exactly where we left off. There are still pig corpses, but I believe I'm going to drag them obligingly over to this building, which is, I think, where Rain had them hanging.
Yep. I just didn't
Oh,
have control over the dead bodies.
That's okay. We won't ask you to drag dead bodies. Were you guys ready to take a rest or hit the road? I know there was talk of going to the inn. It's time to decide what's your next step.
I believe we were hitting sundown, and I think we had decided to take a rest with Rain's new friend.
Yes.
Right.
Mr. Bones and I haven't had our conversation yet.
If only you were a bard, I'd ask for a rousing chorus of Mr. Bones and me. You're going to leave the skeleton in there?
Now that we're starting to make our way in, I'm going to do a much better look at what's going on with him. And seeing as I already dug a pit over by that other building, I might go ahead and bury him.
All right. Well, he's picked pretty clean. He'd be easy enough to transport. He's pretty much a bundle of bones.
Is there any cloth or anything in this tavern?
There are the remnants of the rags that, whatever clothing he was wearing.
I'm just
clothing.
concerned that he's going to fall apart the moment I start trying to transport him.
Oh, he's going to. There are no sinews and things holding this together. It's a collection of bones.
Right. So
you can try to roughly wrap it in what's left of his clothes.
yeah, I'll try that and then move along.
Do me a favor. I'll give you. Let's go with a custom roll. I like those. Give me a percentage roll, please.
Okay.
I'm going to make this totally random.
22.
Oh yeah, you're not going to make those bones in one trip. There's no way.
That's fine.
You're taking the main ones, but I mean, finger bones, toe bones. You're kind of like Hansel and Gretel leaving a trail behind you as you drag this bundle out. So with a custom roll, I like those. Give me a percentage roll,
Go and
please.
trail behind him and just keep picking them up and putting them back on top, and then they fall off, and we pick it up and put it back on top of the pile.
There's
Go
no real
for it.
dustpan. We could maybe sweep them up.
There is a broom in the inn still, but there is no dustpan to be found.
A little dignity, my dear. A little dignity for the dead.
I'm trying. Sorry.
Here you go. She picks the skull up and puts it on top. And tooth falls out.
Since Galwin's on cleanup, I'll ask her to roll perception, please.
Oh no. This doesn't sound like it's going to go well.
Not all perception rolls are bad ones. Along with various small bones, there's a total of 12 silver that is also dropped out of this bundle that Rain is trudging across the yard with. So 12 silver pieces.
Those are some really strange looking silver teeth.
Did my ears hear that perk up?
Gowan's collected it, and she keeps trying to stuff it into your pouch as you're moving, and then of course that makes you drop some more of the bones.
Works for me. I'll do that. I'll do that goofy thing that guys do, and they'll try and stick the hips out that I don't actually own.
Okay, so you managed to bundle this literal pile of bones into the hole that you dug.
Yep. And I'll say a very cursory, rest in peace. Whatever gods watch over you, take care of him. Cover it up and head back into the tavern.
All right. And what are the rest of you doing?
Ting Ting's going to look around to see, maybe is there an upper floor with rooms or anything like that? Or
There is actually a loft, sort of a half floor in the back half of the common room, and there's a sort of cross between stairs and ladder. It's too steep to be a ladder, but too steep to be stairs, but it is on a bit of a more of a slant than we would have with the ladder. Anyway, that leads up to the loft.
Okay, yeah.
You-
Tim will check out the loft.
Yeah, nothing much in there, some tattered blankets. As near as you can guess, this probably was sleeping space for guests to the inn, but this is a small town, so you don't think it would have gathered a lot of traffic.
Is there enough room for like all of us up here? Or?
Mm, depends how cozy you want to get. You could you could put all 5 of you in a row. If somebody had to get up in the middle of the night to go for a trip to a tree, you might have a bit of walking on other people, but
I have no problem sleeping downstairs just in case anything else decides to visit us.
Colin takes one look at these stair ladder things and goes, "That's fine. I'll happily keep a watch down here, my dears. No problem."
Thing says, "Well, I'll stay up here where it's dark."
I was while Mr. Bones was being buried, kind of looking around, gathering some wood to make a fire. I'm assuming there's a fireplace. I kind of peek up and make sure that the check to see if the chimney is clear.
No raccoons?
No,
what are you going to use to check?
just kind of, I'm short enough that unless it's a really tiny fireplace, I should be able to just kind of
Oh,
take a
you're
look up.
looking?
Yeah.
It does seem kind of, I mean, you can't see daylight now. It's getting darkish anyway,
Mm.
but you don't see a clear path to daylight. Roll me investigation check, please.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got enough of an idea of how this should work that something's telling you you should be able to see sky and you can't. So presumably there's something blocking the way.
So we shall not be creating a fire in the fireplace.
Galwin hands you her spear and says, "Give it a poke."
Right, so I'll take the spear and kind of shove it up into the chimney and see if I can dislodge whatever is up in there.
Dick Van Dyke falls out.
There's
I was
and there's a big
thinking
funny
someone
man's
wrapping red.
Yeah, give me a dexterity check, please, Minnock.
Right. A, B, C, D. There we go. Not a saving throw.
Oh, good.
Wrong thing.
Yes. That's fine. You sort of poke around, you find a little resistance, and you poke a little harder, and jump out of the way in time as a shower of twigs and mud and whatnot comes down. It appears to be the remains of a bird nest that was in the chimney.
Nice.
If you check again, there is daylight now.
And there is daylight. Okay. So using the twigs and some of the wood that I've found, I'll start a fire in the fireplace.
All right.
I mean, there's lots of wood in the tavern. You can use tables and chairs and
Well, I figured, some of them are probably a little worse for wear, so.
Yeah, there's ample crummy,
Mhm.
including, if you'll remember, there was a broken down, largely damaged cart outside also.
Right.
That's, unless somebody wants to invest a lot of time and feels like pulling a cart, it's not really worth much.
I enjoy showing off my strength, but no.
There are apparently some chopped down trees behind the building.
There's a fair amount of fallen wood.
Yeah.
You don't have any problem making a fire.
Right.
Huzzah. It now
Exactly.
seems like a good time to make a meal and rest.
Perfect. Are you going to set a watch?
I'm going to stay downstairs for certain.
Okay.
So I will, at the very least, I will take first watch.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I'm
start-
handy. Give me a poke when you're ready, and I'll take second.
Okay.
Number 3. I'll take third watch.
All right.
I'll take fourth.
All right. And
Hey,
Stubby
look at that.
gets
Stubby,
solid sleep.
Wrap it
Stubby's
up.
getting lots of sleep.
All right.
Well, we have
So,
to worry about his constitution, especially after that moment with the chamber pot.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah, we
holds his
didn't.
belly.
We got teleported here without a chamber pot. So.
since Stubby isn't taking a watch, I'll have him roll a d20. We're still doing
Alright.
random encounters, and I like to make you guys roll for them.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Ooh.
So you all settle in for the night in your various spots, and you pass a very peaceful and quiet night. Few noises of, birds and so on, but that's it. In point of fact, you don't even hear noise of any sort of animals other than the birds. It's a very quiet area.
Okay, that's actually kind of disconcerting. I was going to ask that question. I'm glad you said something.
I'm getting rid of the pigs, if you don't mind.
That's all
You
right.
can presume they're still there, but
While I'm on my watch, I do have one thing I want to try to do. Is there
Okay.
any salt?
Roll investigation.
Okay. Because we're not going to get very far with just raw meat in the bag. Investigation. 21. Nice.
Ooh. All right.
I was
Well,
very thorough in my searching.
you were very thorough in your searching. And with a roll like that, what I'm going to give you is the inn has been plundered because, an abandoned town for certain other people have been through here and found stuff. However, you do amble over to the other farmhouses, even where you went to hang the pigs, and there is salt there.
Okay.
The
So I
farmhouses
can
and-
cure at least a little bit of the meat.
Yes. And that can be done overnight?
No, I just wanted the salt.
Okay.
For when the time came, I could cure the meat.
We could go on a big detour of the science of how long you can carry around raw pig.
I've been there and
Wait.
done. I've been there and done that. I'm working off of the fact we're in fantasy.
Yes, good thing. There's a convenient chill in the air around the pigs only. Alright. So
We can
morning
cook some of it
comes.
too. So
Should be a homebrew spell. Smoke meat.
Ooh.
There's preservation.
Actually, if we could get some iron bands, we could do heat metal on the iron bands overnight.
I'm wondering if you wouldn't have had enough stuff that could make a very smoky fire and just shut up the farmhouse, make it airtight, and smoke those suckers right in there.
Hey, that's
That
an
would
idea
work.
too.
we have the wagon.
We're hardly digressing at all today, are we?
Not at all.
This is
4
D&D
days
at its finest.
later, we have bacon.
An hour
Game
session.
with a plot? There was one of those? No. All right.
Before
So
we
it is
long
morning.
rest, also, I'd like to cast Goodberry.
Okay.
That way I can have good berries just in case the meat spoils. And, that way we have a day's worth of good berries. Just in
Mhm.
case.
Yep.
So we did long rest. I got my 2 hit points back, correct?
Yeah, you did a long rest.
All right. In the morning, like Ting will kind of go check out that one little, I guess the south end of the map. There's like a crop or some fields. See if there's
Yeah.
anything growing out there, vegetables. Anything like
Give me a survival with advantage. Because, looking for food in a farmer's field should be a lead pipe cinch. Yeah. You find there's not a ton, But I'm going to say there's enough vegetable growth there one way or another. Probably could last the whole party 3 days, now I think of it, because it's a good sized field.
Okay.
Now, the pigs would have been eating it, but I mean, there were only so many pigs and there were a lot of plants.
Alrighty. 3 days worth of like turnips and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Well, particularly the root stuff, because even though pigs can grub around for things, they can't dig up carrots and and the turnips and anything underground you'd have a better luck with.
You know, you mentioned that. That means there's no truffles in the area.
That's right. And all of the windfall apples are long gone too.
So already Tingle just come back with the bag of vegetables and say, well, we lucked out and found some vegetables too. So if the meat goes bad, we have a couple days worth of veg.
Oh, we got some stew material. Yay. Now, where are we headed?
Where are you headed? If you remember, I'm going to call up the map again because I think that would help. Just give me a sec. Artwork. Somewhere in here, there's a map. There we go. This was the map that fell out of the book. You are in the town called Whichway because you did find a signpost that said that. As I recall, somebody had glanced off to the distance, sort of west-ish, and seen some very craggy mountains off in the distance. Your ballpark guess was, how good are you? I don't remember if I had you check this or not, but I think, now hang on. There's the handout. Sorry, I missed that. I think you had a feeling that those mountains, the craggy mountains you could see off to the west, were maybe 8 to 10 miles away.
Why are you doing this? There we go. Okay, so I got it pulled up as a handout on here so people can see.
Okay, good.
We're in Whichway. Follow the trail to the Hand and Horn. And if the map looks exactly as what the handout does, that means we get to head this way.
I did say which way.
Hey, we got a miniature D&D player. Well, the compass rose says north is that way, so that means we'd be heading west out of town.
All right. Any other ideas, feedback, signs of life?
I was just gonna ask Rain if he got all the pig meat that he wanted to get.
While discussion is going on, after I make my absolutely brilliant insight about heading west, I will go to the farmhouse and butcher what I can in the time it takes to make a decision.
Okay.
And of course, rub in the salt and other such materials. A little bit of dirt for flavor.
All right. I'm going to say, how long are you going to give him? Rest of the party?
What, for time?
For
To
cutting
butcher the pigs.
slabs of meat off the pigs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you
Absolutely
probably
help
gonna
him,
take at least
too.
half a day to cure it, though.
It's going to take a long time to cure it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're looking at a classic case of, what is it, trichinosis? I'm also going to be a stickler and ask Rain to give. I'm going to go with medicine. Let's see how your knowledge of anatomy is and if you actually know what are the good parts to cut off.
Oh, you're asking a lot out of me.
Just get pork belly. Just the
Yeah.
Four.
Okay. So he's cutting random pieces off the pigs.
This looks like meat. I'm going to cut this piece off.
Dear me goodness.
Ting is
Okay.
going to try to guide him if I can, or give him a assistance.
Okay.
I do
Then go with
happen.
advantage.
The good
Kind of
news is I
figure
do happen to have a small knife. I'm
Oh.
not using my battle axe to do this.
It might be
she has
more efficient.
Sharp dagger.
Most definitely. Yeah, if Ting is helping, you can do that with advantage, because I really don't want a TPK from eating tainted pork. That would
That
be pathetic.
Ting is a very good instructor.
Very
Yes,
good helper.
thank goodness for that. She's got some savvy about how to handle dead animals, particularly pork.
Well, I mean, considering gooseberry pies and stew, Ting has a thing about foods.
Yes. So between the two of you, you managed to get some nice sized rump roasts or whatever it is you get off pigs. I know you don't. You get some large slabs. You want to take the spare ribs too?
I'm only going to take what's going to be easiest to carry.
I would think for getting bones would be a good idea to take the fleshiest parts of the pig would
Yep.
be more
Pork
bang for
belly,
the buck.
shoulder, shank.
There you go.
There you go. See, Ting really does know. So you bundle all that into the bag of holding or something else?
We have a bag of holding, don't we?
We do have a bag
Yeah.
of holding.
Yes. So I'm going
Does
to.
it have compartments?
No, it's just a gigantic pocket dimension that
Yeah.
stuff floats around in.
As long as it's floating and not coming into contact, that's preferable. Okay, roll with it.
I mean, I could really go into a bag of holding discourse because I learned some really neat stuff about it recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be fine. It would be
Bag of
fine.
holding have a freezer section is what I want to know.
No, unfortunately, no.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ting will actually ask Rain if he hands her the pork belly because she has some string. She'll rub some salt on it and just tie it up into like a nice little neat roll, and then we'll try to wrap it up in some cloth.
Okay.
Maybe some of that leftover wax paper from all the tarts that I had.
and I've got some cooking utensils. I've got some cloth from clothing that I have on me. We can make do with what we got.
Okay.
All right.
It won't be the best, but we've got something.
Okay. On our way. Enough time with
Alwyn
the
has
pigs.
been watching all of this just sort of pensively as you've been messing about with pigs. I just have a very simple question.
Uh-huh.
What do we know about what we're doing? I mean, we have a map and we're pulled into here.
Mm-hmm.
What do we know?
So far, nothing other than pigs are mean.
And this map saying follow the trail to the Hand and the Horn, past Three Tree Hill, over the river's Warren, to the Worm's Mark in the Foggy Moor. West of there, the treasure is yours. So I think it must be destiny. We've got to look for some treasure.
Well,
I ain't got nothing against treasure. You all got anything against treasure?
I love treasure.
I have to say that up to this point, I don't believe things have been quite as simple or clear as this way to treasure X marks the spot.
We also have nothing else to work off of. There wasn't anything in the tavern or the farmhouse that gave us more information. So what harm is it in going a little bit further to see if more information can be found?
Oh, famous
I'm
last
not
words.
suggesting there's harm in it, my dear. I'm just suggesting perhaps caution might be exercised.
Have you met me?
Unfortunately, yes. And I do love you. You are highly entertaining, my dear, but on occasion, as many youngsters are wont to do, you are a little overenthusiastic.
That's a good word. I like that word. I thought you were going to call me dumb.
Oh dear. No. No one is actually dumb. We all have a variety of intelligences that we apply to the situations that we find ourselves in. And I'm always pleased to see that you are problem solving with creativity and flair. I'm just suggesting that in this situation, flair might not be the first go-to.
Okay, I will refrain from using my brute strength until otherwise noted.
We will be having more conversations, my dear, I promise you.
However, I would like to stay in the front of the pack just in case something scary jumps out.
I'm okay with that.
Golan will happily take up the rear.
And in the words of some famous dwarves, hi ho, hi ho.
It's off this way we go.
All right. I will say the next one up at bat is going to be Rain, who will roll me a 20, please. Just a custom roll. As you hit the road.
1.
And this time, Nat 1 is fine. Nat
Ah.
1s are good.
Roll for initiative. Oh,
Rain, we're going that way.
So
Sorry.
Orcus pops up.
you all head off merrily this way, following as near as you can the map. You do rapidly realize that this map is not exactly to scale. It's artistic license, to say the least. But after a fair amount of walking, you can readily see that the mountains in the distance, there are some that are quite craggy comparing with the map, and the mountains you go, I think, yep. And there are a couple that do, if you use a lot of imagination, can be seen as a hand reaching skyward and a horn like poking up, let's say, Washington Monument close by. And this seems to be the signpost that's indicated on the map. You've been walking for a fair amount of time right now. You've gone about, well, I'd say you've gone about 5 miles when you're certain that those are what you're looking at. And you're within sight of it. You can see that the mountains do have a break in them, and there's a sort of a pass that seems to be around where the Hand Mountain is. How do you want to continue?
With gusto.
Excellent.
With gusto.
So you charge on regardless to the Hand and Horn, which sounds like it should be a really good pub, but instead is just a couple of mountains. And I'm assuming at that point, you will have a direction change.
Yep, I'm going to head that way.
All right. For that, I'm going to need a perception check from anybody who thinks they have really good eyesight.
Well, I am in the lead, so I'll roll first. And if anybody wants to assist after that, never mind.
Right.
Stubby decided to go, I got it.
Click.
There's a big cluster of you on the road, all doing the, Legolas looking across the horizon type thing. And yeah, you can spot it pretty easily that there is sort of roughly kind of like southeast of here, a mountain that rises up above the others. As you leave the mountains, you'll be going into a heavily forested area, but you do see an outcropping that seems higher and seems to have forest on top. So you're willing to take a gamble that that is, in fact, the infamous three tree hill, of which the poem speaks. Are you going to head that way? With or without gusto?
Well, we have
Pardon me,
Who's Gusto? He was the dog I had back a couple years ago.
I don't remember seeing him with us.
No, this was a couple years ago when I was still just running around with Stubby.
Oh, yes, Gusto. Good dog.
So now that have we reached the Hand and Horn, or did we just see?
You are pretty much at the Hand and Horn. Since you said you were proceeding with gusto, I assumed you went the whole way to the foothills around the Hand and Horn, from which point it's very easy to look off and see thick forest and then a rise in the forest that could conceivably be a mountain with more forest on top.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that that my mind was seeing the landmarks the right way too. But I mean,
looks like
unless
Ready to go?
there's something of note in the area, I don't see why we wouldn't move on.
Just making
It
a note
seems
of
to be a
time.
lot of mountains, awful lot of mountains. The road is actually pretty empty. You've encountered nobody along the road.
I
Have
heard it
we
like
picked up any animal sounds aside from the birds that we heard earlier this morning?
Yeah, I mean, there's squirrels and little rustling noises here and there. They don't seem to know what humans or humanoids are, so they're a little wary of you. I would say they're not used to seeing many people. So they're not skittish enough to show that they've learned to be fearful of people or their arrows, but they're definitely not anywhere near tame or seeing people as a source of food or anything like that.
All right, Ting, you've tried to speak up twice now. What were you going to say?
we're just heading through a wooded area, so
Yep.
I'm just going to kind of try to keep an eye out for any kind of natural, extra food that we may need or anything that may come. I'm not gonna wander too far off the path, but just keep an eye out for anything that we could use as forageable.
If you see a
Supply.
raspberry bush.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
give me another survival ting.
Nope, not so good.
Yeah, it's a lovely forest. You're a little distracted. There's a lot to look at here and new things, and you keep forgetting that you were planning to look for food, basically.
Can you
Now,
ever forget to look for food?
Story. It's the narrative. Work with me.
Already.
right. So while we are moving with purpose, I'm keeping a bit wary just in case something in the shadows is out there. This is one of those too quiet situations, and by this point in time, I'm concerned that there's something that we're not seeing. So I'm going to be spending at least half my time with my head on a swivel.
Okay.
Galwin at the rear is doing something very similar. She's not certain that this tail wagging this dog is all it's beat up to be, so she's keeping a very close eye, especially on what's behind it.
All right. As you travel through the forest, nothing is really setting off alarms for you. There are no noises happening that wouldn't normally be happening in a forest. As you get closer to the hill, you can see it's an odd hill simply because usually when there's a mountain, there are many mountains. This one's sort of all by itself and has, against all probability, exactly 3. No more, no less. 3 is the number of the trees, and the number of the trees is 3. So, unmistakably, yes, this would seem to be 3 Tree Hill.
No. 3. At this
Why?
at this point in time, I'm going to let my my little pet Sura out so she can run around because we're in a forest, and this is a ferret. Time to have fun.
Yeah.
Is there, as we approach this finger of a mountain, is there any discernible pathway upward?
There is not, because it's a fairly steep hill, actually.
So it really is like somebody stuck their finger inside Jello and just made a reverse.
Yeah, it's quite an unusual outcropping. I'm trying to remember who might.
Thing's asking, do you want me to climb up there to kind of get a lay of the land?
How tall does this appear to be?
As near as you can tell, she says, trying frantically to figure out what would be a mountain height. I'm going to sidestep the question and say it's not so much that it's a tall mountain as that it is far and away the tallest thing in the area.
Okay. With it being a fairly sheer surface, are you certain of your ability to scale this?
That's going to be the good question. I mean,
Unfortunately,
my last climbing foray didn't do too well.
and I'm tossing that question out more to the party. I don't have equipment that could assist in scaling said mountain.
Well, I do have the hempen rope, and I'm checking to see what my pack carries.
Time to check what's in your pack.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like I just got the hempen rope, and everything's kind of listed individually, so I don't have like, sometimes they put the adventurer's pack or whatever. I just have a backpack listed. I don't have the.
Yeah. I think that's because we brought these over from D&D Beyond, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's true. Shard will group it all together in a pack. D&D Beyond tends to itemize it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the only thing I have is a 50-foot hempen rope. I don't even have a grappling hook or anything like that. So can I just give a like an estimate as to, I mean, just studying this pinnacle, you know, do I got an idea maybe if I were to attempt to climb it, how long it might take to do so and how dangerous it might be?
I do have a crossbow, so
Yeah.
we can put a rope on and try and aim it and shoot it towards the trees if you think I just don't know how tall.
And I got a short bow. I don't know, a crossbow might have better range than the
I have a longbow, and I'm a sharpshooter.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's what Ting can tell because she's used to cities and she's used to buildings and scaling things. This is not as steep as a building. It's steep, but it's not as steep as a building. You would gauge this to be about as high as a 6-story building.
Okay.
It's about 120 feet.
Yeah. So we would have to tie at least two
No.
sets of rope together if you want me to go up there. And question is, do we need to? I mean, the instructions just say go past this thing, but I mean, we'll be able to see a lot more, if we get up there. I'm willing to go. I'm willing to give it a try.
Having a lay of the land is not always a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if somebody has a second set of rope, I could probably
Absolutely.
climb up part of the way, and then I don't know if we want more than one of us to go up there, but
Well, I damaged my rope, so I don't have much left.
I have 50 feet.
okay. Well, that'll get us 20 feet short of the distance.
I do have another 50 feet.
I do as well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we have enough rope to get you up there. Now it's just a matter of, does anybody have a way of securing the rope?
I figured on tying the rope to the arrow and aiming for the trees and hoping that it would either secure in there or even lob itself over a branch and get secured that way.
Okay.
And it's more just for safety. It's not like, I mean, Ting can kind of climb up and just kind of use it for safety purposes.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to hauling herself up all the way with it.
Mm-hmm.
Works for me.
Okay. So we'll
Doobie's a
take-
sharpshooter.
yeah, we'll tie off all those into really good strong knots and hand the end of that rope to Stubby.
Okay. I would definitely tie. Stubby would tie off on his best arrow that he has in his quiver, and get a nice secure tie and knock the arrow and take aim at the best looking tree that he thinks should receive the arrow with the rope and let loose.
All right. Just like a ranged attack. Ready, aim, fire.
You want me to?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to make you roll for it.
Yeah. Do you want me to
Remember,
do
the
it?
dice tell the story too.
Yeah.
Roll it as you would for a ranged attack.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Okay.
It's okay. And I start pulling the rope back.
Well, yeah, it basically goes up, but it gets stuck in the branches. So you either assume it's going to be good enough or you tug, like, how are you going to proceed at that point? I'm assuming you were aiming for around the tree and back down again as the
I
safest
don't
option.
have a boomerang arrow.
Yeah.
Force.
Ting will give it a little tug because she's a little lighter. She's gonna, unload any unnecessary gear except maybe a dagger and a weapon.
Okay. Yeah. It seems to hold. It doesn't give. And in fact, you don't even really see the tree moving. So it looks like a nice solid tree.
Alrighty, I'll give it a shot and I guess start climbing up. I'm gonna try to just keep the rope kind of taut and use more of the cliff to pull myself up.
All right. Sounds good. Give me athletics with advantage or acrobatics if you prefer, whichever
Yeah.
one.
Acrobatics. 17.
You don't
24.
need it. You were already good. Yeah. So this is Ting, and this is not a building. She zips right up there because she's got, as you travel along there, you can see there are little bits of outcroppings of rock and so on. It's not a cakewalk, but for somebody with your skill and experience, it's easy enough. It is nice to have the rope, though. So you get up to the top of the hill.
All right. Once I get up to the top, I'll make sure and just tie off the rope. Make sure it's really secure,
Okay.
and maybe in some kind of I don't know if I know like a belayman's knot. There's like belayman's knots that you can tie off so that you can recover the rope.
I
Maybe
have
loop it so
no
it goes
idea.
back down. But
I know what you're talking about.
Let me see. I see nothing in your background that would show it, but what I'm going to do is say, give me a sleight of hand, please.
Okay. She probably knows some of those knots.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
This thing will hold for as long as you need it to.
Okay. And once she's up top, she's gonna kind of look around and try to get an eye of what we see.
Okay. I'm assuming you had taken a good look at the map too, so you already have an idea of what you're hoping to be able to spot from up here.
Yeah. So I
You're
know that we're supposed to be getting to a bridge soon, and I kind of want to see how far that
Yeah.
is.
You can see the bridge. You're pretty sure it's a bridge. It's not nearby. Judge of distance. If you want distances, I would say you'd have to give. I'm going to go with survival for that as a judgment of distance.
Not so good as
Yeah.
a street group. That's pretty far.
Yep. Looks like it could be a wood bridge. Hard to say. There's a river, you're pretty sure. Not so certain, and the distance is hard to tell. The thing at the bottom of the map, you do see definitely what looks like basically a dormant volcano, because it's much larger and much further away than the bridge. Even
Right.
further off, you think you see something like kind of a castle, but it's hard to tell.
Okay. Alrighty. I mean, like I said, I don't know distances. I think we're gonna make any of these before nightfall?
Not really. The fact is, you've already been on the road for about 20 miles at this point.
Okay.
It may not be, we didn't specify what time of day you left, but you're well on into the afternoon easily. And you're probably starting to get a little bit tired. So it might be the time to decide if you want to push on to the wood bridge and then rest, or if you want to just keep going for as long as you feel like and then rest. You've got a few options. The fact that you can't see the bridge clearly indicates it's probably more than a mile or two.
Okay. Well, I'll relay that. I'll yell that. I don't care. I guess I'll yell it down to them that I said, the bridge is probably more than a mile away. And I don't know if you guys want to camp here. I can keep the rope tied off if you want to camp up here. Does it look like there's enough space up here to sleep? Would it be relatively safe up here?
As long as you don't toss and turn.
Yeah, it's a little uneven ground up here. I mean, it's not a particularly smooth hilltop. And now, I mean, strictly speaking, it might be about the same area as the loft in the inn.
Oh, okay.
But it's just the difference in where you go if you fall.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know if I don't know if everybody else wants to just camp here for the night or if you want to press onto the bridge. I'm good with either, but we got at least a mile or two before we get to the bridge. Probably we would get to the bridge by nightfall.
I'm okay for pressing on, but or we can stay.
I'm all right with the idea of walking till at least dusk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All righty. So if Ting will look around, see if give one more check around the area, see if I see like any kind of wildlife or animals, large creatures
Actually-
flying in the sky, anything like that.
No large creatures. Well, yes, a couple of large creatures, and they look to be eagles.
Okay.
Because this is actually a nice high spot, and they seem to be a little distressed from what you can tell from the flight patterns that there is an intruder in their space. So you suspect this might be a spot that they usually would hang out, and now they're upset that you're there.
Okay. Well, if I don't see anything else that's key, I'll make my way down and so I don't hold up the party anymore. And yeah, just make my way down and try to recover the rope.
So you tied the rope tight enough to get down, and you're basically going to try to pull like a Sam going through the marshes outside Mordor, just giving a tug to the rope and it comes down.
Yep.
I think we're going to go with, because I'm not going to give you that one as a freebie. Let's give me another sleight of hand just to see if it works. It doesn't. That rope is really firmly fixed in place.
Okay.
I
Well,
thought the roll that he had done though was to tie it with a knot that would
Okay.
release.
He did say that.
Yeah.
Does such a knot exist? Because I don't know of it myself.
There are a couple of knots like that exist that will secure, and if you pull in a proper direction, it will release, and if you pull in a different direction, it stays secured.
Okay. Given that, thank you for the update. I will say you were able to pull it down again. I'm
okay.
going to assume that descending, having tied the knot, you would know which way to descend using it as support so as not to trigger the release. And then down at the bottom, you could do it.
Okay.
There are certain skills I've picked up along the way in real life that have taught me that one.
Note to all listeners, the headmaster's an expert at knots. Read of that what you will. So you're all clustered at the bottom of the hill. You're going to continue on towards the direction that seems to be where the wood bridge was?
Yeah, I figure we'll walk until dusk unless anybody has objections to it.
Okay.
Prefer to press on if we can.
I will say you are then wanting to push yourselves beyond what you would normally comfortably walk in a day.
Well, I believe Rain's suggestion was we walk until about dusk. That gives us time to set up for the evening.
Okay. So you'll walk till dusk. You do not actually see the wood bridge, but you have a feeling it might not be too much further. But you're pretty sure that if you kept going till you reach the wood bridge, it will be full dark before you get there.
Yeah, and I'm not willing to push any more than we have to.
Yep.
All right. So you're back in a fairly woodsy area is the good news. So you've got a little bit of natural shelter. You've also got shelter for anything that might want to sneak up at you. How do you want to spend the night?
I've got some mess kit stuff we can slap together a meal using the foods that we've picked up along the way. Step off the road 15, 20 feet so we're not in the way of the non-existent traffic.
Right. Fair enough. And
If we're long
same
resting,
luck
I'm going
as
to
last
cast
time?
Goodberry,
Okay.
and my other ones are. I'm going to probably eat one just to make sure, and offer them to anybody else that wants one. To
I'm already cooking dinner.
fair enough.
Is anybody having pig?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're supervising the preparation. That should still be fine.
I'm looking at making a stew.
Please tell me you're going to cook all of it.
As much as I can fit inside a traveling mess kit. I am a cook by trade.
Okay. So you've got a fairly good sized. All right.
I do actually indeed own an iron pot.
A collapsible iron pot that does a little transformer thing and blink, 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 and you could put all the pork meat in there. Just so your DM has to stop worrying about how the heck you roll to find out if somebody's got food poisoning. All right. So you have a great big pig roast or pig stew. And whose turn is it? Galwin, would you please roll me a d20? Let's see if you get to eat in peace or sleep in peace.
20.
I love the suspense. All right. So yeah, the pig smells lovely. You have a lovely stew brewing up, and you all eat your fill. In Ting's case, maybe, and then some. And time to settle down for the night. How do you want to do that?
I will take first watch again.
All right.
You do second.
I'll take a watch.
Okay.
I'll take a watch. Like Ting Ting sleeps since she climbed, so
Extra work. Yeah.
extra work.
And yeah, between the big climb and the probably generous serving of stew, I think Ting Ting will have a fairly sound sleep. The rest of you, your watches are fairly normal. You definitely hear a little more activity now than you did the other day. So yeah, natural woodland sounds. Still no sign of any sentient creature other than yourselves. It's a little bit eerie, but that's how it goes. So, yep, you have a restful night. No intruders, no encounters. Life is good.
Now, over the evening, Galwin would have spread out her bedroll, gotten comfortable, and kind of rolled over on her back and looked up at the sky. Can she see sky through the forest that's here?
We'll say you're not that far off the roadway. So yes, you can.
She's looking to see if she can pick out any familiar constellations, anything that would give her some idea of where they're currently located.
All right. What can I make you do for this? Give me just a flat out, well, I mean, I suppose it should be investigation. Yeah. Or intelligence, your choice. Either investigation or intelligence.
Neither
Have a
exactly.
look at it.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not the one that I want to roll. There we go.
You can see stars. They don't offhand seem to fit any patterns that you know of. But it's been a long time since you had to worry about astronomy. And you're not quite sure what the night sky should look like now at this time of year anyway. So it was a good effort, but you're kind of lost going on. It doesn't. You know, there are a few constellations you know well, and you don't see any of them. But as far as you can remember, you shouldn't be seeing them at this time of the year anyway. So you haven't learned much from looking up there.
Well, on the contrary, I believe that I've learned a great deal.
Okay.
I don't believe I'm looking at our familiar sky.
Good to know.
Mhm.
So as we wake in the morning, I am going to make an observation here. Finding ourselves in a book and this little hand-drawn map, I'm disappointed. Because I remember some of the kids' stories I was told that resemble something like this, and there have been no fantastical events yet. I'm disappointed.
Maybe you are the fantastical events.
That's boring. I know me, I think. Break fast, clean up camp.
Clean up camp.
Early morning, Ting will just go down and by the river and fill up her water skiing.
All right. You're not super close to the river yet. I would say you'd hit there in a couple of hours. Honestly, at this point, though, if you look around in the forest, you will find a spring to fill up your water skin. That's not a problem.
A little bit of fresh water is
Everyone-
nice.
Yeah.
I think everyone would be smart enough to fill up.
Yep. Jane, you want to roll me a d20, please? And for rain's sake, make it a high number. There, you see, that's all right. Rain, since you're the one who wanted something interesting to happen, you can roll the d12.
I was not trying to make combat. I was trying to make something interesting.
Who said anything about
That is interesting.
One.
nothing to
I am
anything?
not rolling high today.
Now, here's the trick: is I have no map for random encounter. You're going to have to do theater of the mind. Isn't that fun, boys and girls?
Yay.
But you only have one enemy, so it's okay.
I could probably share my content. That might be a map.
Yeah, but I don't want to bog us down. I mean, I could have just gone and grabbed a map, but I'm going, that will take even 2 minutes of going, wait, I've got it. Hold on. Upload. No, let's theater of the mind. It'll be good for us. As Ting is filling her water skin, she hears a noise in the bush and glances up to be face to face with a very large, nasty looking wolf. And I need you all to roll initiative, please. I mean, if it comes
We're
right
gonna
down to
do-
it, I can put, let's just dance on the map. That's much more fun.
Okay.
It's good to have. We're going to, the only map we've got at the moment is the map of the village. So we're going to use that and just pretend we're back there.
They probably have a river map within the shard.
I know that's the killer, but yeah. So this is fine. Well, mostly because I want to keep it efficient. Just
Okay.
here. Use your imagination. The brown is the river. Okay. Everything else is trees.
Okay.
Go.
I need new dice. I am not rolling well
Yeah.
today.
I'm just going to do one little modification. We will say Ting is there. Her friendly little encounter friend is here. I will let you all retcon wherever you were when this happened. I'll give you that as a freebie.
We're at the river?
Yes, the brown is actually a river. Or a stream, I should say. That's where Ting was filling her water bottle.
Okay.
So you can all choose realistically, if you wish, whether you were all back at camp or whether you all trooped over in a little clump to fill your water bottles at the same time.
Well, I assume we either borrowed skins from people and walked them over, or we all went together.
All right. Then
I would have gone with, because I want to wash my hair and clean off a little.
You've been hauling stinky
your
pig.
gold star in creative storytelling goes to Rain. Ting, you're the first one up.
Wow.
What are you going to do with this lovely beastie facing you?
This thing is definitely looking hungry, like it wants to come after me.
It looks extremely hungry and nasty. Yeah, the picture's fairly accurate. Mouth open, snarling, fangs bared.
Okay. Well,
Tensing to spring.
I'm just going to fire just a reactionary. I'm going to fire a ray of frost at it.
Okay, go for it. And that does hit.
Two points.
All right.
And I know it slows it down 10 feet.
Yep.
And I will give myself a little more distance between me and the wolf.
Probably a good one.
Oh, who's got the bag of holding?
I do.
Fantastic.
You must put all kinds of carnage in that bag.
Turn it inside out and let all the pork go.
Scatter the pork.
Is there pork
next
left, or did you cook it all?
I highly doubt we ate all of it in one night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he would have tried to bring all of it, or all that he could. So there's probably still a lot of raw pork in the bag of holding. Gulwin, you're the next one up, and after that is Stubby.
All right. I'm going to expend one of my wild shapes, and you see Alwyn shimmer and turns into what almost looks like a constellation. She's holding a large bow, draws it back, aims at the wolf, and as a bonus action has cast Starry Form Archer.
Cool.
Do you turn into Sagittarius and you level up?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I turn into the constellation of Galwin.
She has her own constellation, man. That's pretty cool.
I'm jealous.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so I am trying to find my whipping.
Way, way down.
Doesn't pull up for me.
Is that from the Fizzband's book?
The Starry Form?
Yeah.
No. It's actually Strixhaven, I think.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into that one. It sounds like fun.
Mm.
Cool. You know what? I don't have a bow. Sorry. I will add one quick.
Yeah, thank you, because this is too cool to not have a bow.
You can toss her mine. I got a short bow.
No, we're just going to retcon that you're not proficient. Do you get proficiency with that ability to something?
It doesn't say that I do, so I'm going to
Doesn't make
presume
sense.
not. But it's a
Well,
a
it
feature
does say
of
you
my.
make a ranged spell attack. It's not a ranged attack. So
Yes,
you
if you
could
have another
basically
ranged
cast
spell,
it like
it'll-
any ranged spell. You don't
It's a constellation of an archer appears on you when you activate this form, and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns while it lasts, you can make a ranged spell attack. Oh yeah, okay. Hurling a luminous arrow at the target. Okay, so it is a ranged spell
It
attack.
looks like
Got
an
it.
arrow, but it doesn't need to be like a physical bow. You're safe.
New ability. I believe I don't get to actually throw anything this time around. I think it's on subsequent turns.
Okay. That's all right. It's just so badass to be able to do that. Everybody's going, woo, except of course for
Okay,
the
Sacco, you interpret this one. On a constellation of an archer appears on you. When you activate this form, and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns. No, I get to throw something this time around.
Yeah, I just pulled it up so I could look at it because it's new to me, and it's a bonus action, so you still have your action and movement left.
All right, so I am going to throw a ranged spell attack on this puppy. Gotta find my dice.
I like that. That's a fun one. I'm gonna play with that one later.
Oh, and all of that.
that does not strike. Doesn't matter. It's still a lovely pyrotechnic
Still
display.
glowing.
And everybody's just going, ooh. However, unless you have a
Yeah.
movement to make,
I still have an action to make.
okay, go for it.
So I want to. You are a nasty little wolf. I think I'm going to. That was a bonus action. So I can still throw a leveled spell, right?
Yes.
I would say so, yeah.
All right. I am going to toss a guiding bolt towards this critter.
If it hits, it'll glow too.
Everybody gets to
Oh,
glow. It's kind of like
It's
having
just so
fireworks.
Disney. Yes, that does hit.
It's 19 points of radiant damage.
Wow.
Jesus.
Guiding bolt is mean.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yes, it is.
Well, it looked angry before, but it's looking more angry now.
Well, there you go, my dears. I pissed it off nicely for you. You take the rest of it.
Such an improvement.
I don't think that's
All
a wolf.
right.
It's a warg. It's bigger than normal size.
Unless it's a fantastical wolf that's very, very big and eats grandmas.
Yeah.
I don't wish to be eaten, dear.
All right. Did you have anything else going?
No, Gawain's pretty content where she's standing. Everybody else is in front.
Lose your initiative. That's so weird. I've never seen that happen. You just very abruptly lost your initiative. Anyway, we'll remember that you come in between Ting Ting and Stubby. Stubby, you're up. And
All
Minnow
right.
will come after that.
Oh my, what sharp teeth you have.
That is a miss. The arrow arcs through, and probably because of all the sparkling and tingling and so on going on, you misjudge the target, but it just shoofed right past this creature.
I would like to
Are-
point out that Doobie gets advantage because of guiding bolt.
Oh, thank you.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. In this case.
Guiding bolt, if it is successful, puts a glowing mark on the creature, and the next attack against it gets advantage.
All right.
Whackity, whack, whack, whack.
Well, shoot.
Yes. Shoot.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, you rolled
No, you
damage.
rolled damage. Just click the little green advantage in the chat box. That should do
Oh,
the
okay.
roll.
I didn't realize I rolled it then. Damage.
Yep, that one did hit. So 8 damage.
Aha.
Interesting. And this creature is getting downright testy now, turns towards you with a snarl, but is incapable of doing anything yet, because you still have to specify if you have a bonus action or a movement. And
Just
then
gonna
it'll be
back
end.
up, keep it at very as long a range as I can, and end my turn.
All right. Minok, you're up.
Great. So I will
Mm.
toss a firebolt at it.
And as you kind of look to your left, you're going to see Rain going, "Get back! Get back!"
So I'm going to toss
Oh,
the
that's a
firebolt.
hit.
I think that hits, and that was 6 damage.
6. This is not a happy critter.
And then I am going to also, since this is not a house, I am going, also going
Exactly.
to back
Just
up.
trees. All just trees. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And Rain, you are up.
Fantastic. I am going to do the exact opposite of everybody else. And I am going to snarl back at the wolf and tap into that bit of barbarian rage that I have. Charge forward. And I'm not too keen on just killing this for the sake of killing it. So I am going to
Now,
attack, but I am going to do this as non-lethal.
All right.
Does a 14 hit?
Is a hit. And the creature is down.
Yep. I'm rather than using the blade of the great axe, I am just flat blading this thing right across the face. Ping!
And it crumbles to the ground, unconscious.
All right.
You-
He's going to be sleeping for a while. Let's finish what we were doing and get out of here.
This thing won't be able to track us.
Hey, we just made a fool of it. Do you think it's going to want to come after us again?
I don't know. I'm the
Yes,
smallest.
I
I look like the
so.
mouth.
Most crit.
Alwyn is going to suggest that you some of the pork close by, so it will be distracted and busy once it gets.
I
You
was
know-
just going to say the same thing.
Fine. Use some of my meat. I don't mind.
So I'll come over, and I'm going to put some of the meat on the opposite side of the direction that we are heading.
All right.
Pat,
And
pat,
we'll-
pat, and then walk away.
Lovely, rich fur. It's beautiful, really.
Uh-huh. And I'm respectful. I'm leaving.
Good. So you resume your trip, heading in the direction you think the bridge was. And sure enough, after only a couple of hours, you come to a wooden bridge crossing quite a large rushing river.
I want to look
And
under the bridge.
there is a sad lack of trolls.
Dang it.
Galwin was peeking with you.
Algae, yes. Slightly rotten timbers, but no trolls.
If I grab on the struts of it and shake, does it move?
Give me a strength check.
Okay. I'm not trying to knock it down. I just want to make sure it's secure enough to walk across. At 22. Oh, gosh.
And this thing's pretty solid. It creaks a bit because you gave it a hell of a shake, but it doesn't move.
Good. How big is the river?
The river is about, at this stage, it's about 20 feet across. Looks fairly deep.
Okay.
And since the northwest end of it, which is where it's flowing from, is coming down from the mountains, this is a river with gusto.
Okay. That was
Yeah.
my next question. Thank you. So I will once again take the lead and carefully walk across just in case there's any bad boards.
All right.
Is this indeed a covered bridge?
This is
as
indeed
depicted
a
on the map.
covered bridge. Yes.
We'll look up and make sure there's not
Oh.
bats.
Ah, Colin's checking the ceiling.
Yeah, give me a perception check. Anybody who's checking the ceiling?
Go ahead, Colin. I know I'll roll like a 1.
You either roll a 20 or a 1.
I
There's
know,
really no
right?
in between.
Yeah, Galwin, you spot up there. There are, in fact, a couple of bats hanging upside down right at the very top. They're just having a bit of a snooze, as far as you can tell. There are also a couple of wasp nests, actually,
Right.
nesting underneath the roof.
They are adorable, but I would proceed with a bit of caution just to not encourage them.
So no throwing rocks at the nests?
No.
You discourage that, yes. She reaches out and pulls your hand down because there is a rock in your hand.
Ting Ting was thinking of going watch this and take a short bow from the
All
All
right.
that Gollum can think at this point is, oh my God, we're undergraduates all over again.
Uh-huh. But yeah, I want to go ahead of everybody by about 10 feet just to make sure there's no bad boards. I'll use the butt of my great axe to tamp on some of the boards ahead of me just to make sure.
All right.
gonna
You
wake up the
proceed
walk.
in your tap tapping away across the bridge, and it all seems nice and sound, and you make it across without incident.
Fantastic.
I'm
Owen's
assuming
gonna wait on the opposite side until everyone has passed through and has gotten the bridge to the other side before she comes across.
okay. And you can all clearly see this mountain that is almost due south of where you are. It's quite unmistakable, quite large.
The volcano thingy that Ting Ting mentioned.
Dormant volcano, whatever. There is no plume of smoke rising from it. That appears to have been artistic license on the map.
I'm gonna be sad again.
Well, I was going for that.
Well, it looks like we know our next destination.
We're gonna go through some more woods, it looks like.
Mhm.
Just follow the
you're
path.
Following the yellow brick road, on you go. Minok, you want to do a D20?
Sure thing.
And once again, I figure we'll walk till dusk.
Seasonally, where are we?
Oh yeah, good
This
question.
feels summer, winter.
I'm going to go with early fall.
Okay.
You know, fairly nice days still. The overnight is more comfortable and without that heavy heat that you sometimes get in summer. Just a bit of a tang in the air, but the leaves have not started turning yet. I would say only the things like sumac and so on that turn early, they're starting to change color, but the rest of the deciduous trees are not yet.
And dusk is still at a fairly late day in the late time.
Yeah, well, I would say, no, I'd say
changed
we're
clocks
heading to
yet?
almost
We didn't have
equal.
the-
Yeah. Nobody
We
has
reached
changed.
the daylight saving time when we were sucked into the
Sorry,
book.
that would be moving your hourglass 10 feet to the left. is what- Probably more or less equal hours of daylight and
Okay.
nighttime at this
Okay.
stage.
So yeah,
Roll 16.
that works. Walk till dusk.
All right.
And yeah,
In
16.
point
rolled
of fact, I mean, you're still in morning, barely even midday. I would say you get to the foot of the volcano. It's probably only about 1 o'clock, maybe 2 in the afternoon.
Fantastic.
You can now clearly see off to the west there is something that looks castle-ish or maybe chateau. It's not huge, but it is distinctive in that it seems to be the only building for miles around.
Outside of the village that we were in.
Exactly. Well, and given that you probably
From where we are at the foot of this mountain to that structure, do we get a sense of the distance?
well, I'll make you suffer too. Give me a survival check. Yeah, you would put it ballpark between 7 to 12 miles away.
And our average speed has been what, roughly 10, 12 miles a day?
Oh no, you can comfortably do 24 a day.
Okay, I'm trying to gauge by what we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, the map riddle mentions something about in the foggy moors. So is there like is that what it looks like in between us and the castle? Is like moors or kind of.
You don't see fog anywhere in particular. No. Maybe it depends on the time of day.
As boring as
Well,
it is, our landmarks are so easy to find.
Yes, but there seems to be a great deal of outlandish false advertising.
I know, right? And
What
I'm
false advertising? The top of this volcano is definitely scorched.
Well, if we've hit this mountain and it's just past noon, and there's some 6 or so miles left, it sounds like we could probably get to that building if we continue to press forward for the remainder of our day.
that works for me.
I work that would be great. I don't like sleeping on a volcano, so
Well, I suspect it would be warm,
True.
Oh, look at
and
the right.
perhaps a little too warm. I don't know.
maybe if you were a red dragon, you'd be more comfortable.
While we're having this riveting conversation, I'm going to start heading west.
All right. So you walk on.
Rowan starts a very long lecture on the nature of red versus green dragons and an explanation of why dragonborns don't exactly fit that category. Their personalities are really quite different. And while there is some lineage that connects the two, it is very ancient and the DNA has evolved over time. You're snoozing by about the end of mile 1.
As you continue along your walk, and the sun starts to sink down in the sky, you can see that there is a bit of a rise in the land again, leading up to a fairly high hill. And this building is on top of the hill, which is why it was easier for you to spot. The land around it, and even the land you're walking through, is a little bit scruffy. I mean, there are some trees and things, but it doesn't look particularly like arable land, let's put it that way. It might be very stony, you don't have time to really stop and do soil analysis, but things don't seem to grow as nicely here. Certainly, as the sun goes down and gets a little cooler, you are seeing the fog come up here. Absolutely, it's wafting across the landscape like little ghosts. Not the sort of solid fog that you'll sometimes see, but fog which is like little wisps of cloud. And it is generously scattered around the lowlands around this hill. Although
So we're still in the low area and have not
you have not
started up the hill towards this building.
Nope. I would say it is now about, let's say 6 in the evening.
Is there any moonlight that we could still see the building?
You can still see the building, yeah. The sun would go down. I mean, it's getting a little gloomy because the sun is sort of teetering on the horizon type thing, but you still got enough light to see by.
So do we want to rest before visiting this abode, or do we just want to charge in?
I say we try
Well,
to
I'm-
press on if it's only going to be like an hour or two before we make it.
Painting seems to be very intent on not spending another night in the wilderness.
Fair enough.
Castles
There
usually
you
have beds.
All right. Well, then
And there's
I
still the other word treasure that kind of is ringing.
you have motivation. That's what it is. So, yeah, continue on toward this large structure.
Press on with all dispatch. As you get closer, I'm going to treat you to another handout. This is more like what you are seeing. There is an iron fence surrounding the building. You couldn't exactly call it a castle, but there is, notwithstanding, a bit of a tower in the back corner. This is more the side view that you're looking at. A couple of ravens fluttering around the building. It seems to be a popular hangout for them, and it stands to reason if it's deserted. Off to the right-hand side of the building, which you can't see on the handout, there is a door and a flight of steps leading up to it.
Now, this fenced off area looks like it is separate from the building, not surrounding the building. Does that appear to be and
Graveyard?
I'm making a guess based off of the picture. Does it appear to be a graveyard?
It does indeed. As you get close, you can see gravestones in there.
Okay. So we might be coming upon some sort of old citadel or church, sorry.
Architecture seems very odd for a church, but
Monastery? Chapel?
Either that or it's somebody with old money.
Can Stubby ascertain with his archaeologist background? It says whenever you enter a ruin or a dungeon, you can correctly ascertain its original purpose, determine its builders. Yeah. I don't know if that's even necessary, but he's definitely interested in architecture.
Yeah. From what you can see, I'm going to give you that you would look at this and say, it doesn't seem to be built as fortifications. Definitely, you would see that at a glance. The only thing that's fenced in is the graveyard. Normally, fortifications would be protecting the living, not the dead. It's a well-built building, fairly large for a residence, and yet the configuration would seem to suggest just that. It's a residence. It doesn't have the sort of layout you would usually see in a religious building. It has none of the type of security and fortification you would expect from a building that was used in a defensive capacity. Therefore, you would conclude this was the residence of somebody who had enough money to build themselves a wonkin' big residence.
Stone Manor.
Fair enough.
Let's see if they have any stew prepared for the evening.
Manors are usually locked.
And I am going to, for the first time since most of you have known me, I'm going to be respectful. And when we approach the door, if there indeed is a knocker, I'm going to use it.
All right. Since I assume you're all looking at this place, I'm going to have everybody give me a perception check. Holy cow. Yeah,
120,
world
120, 1.
So, really, basically, you're pretty much all except for Galwin, who is still trying to convince people the differences between different types of dragon and dragonkin. Everyone's paying superb attention. You can see lights moving within this house. Not very
Even
bright ones, but some of them are stationary. Once in a while, one will move, and you think, huh.
The Lord of the Manor is about.
or lady.
Or lady.
Or they're seeing it through windows.
Through the windows, yeah.
Both floors, just one floor.
Seems to be more on the upper story.
Gowan ended her lecture some time ago. She's kind of standing and looking behind them. If she had hair, it would be standing on end. She just has sort of a creeped out feeling at the moment.
Does Stubby? Well, I guess you're still resolving the perceptions.
No, that basically was just to see how many
Okay.
people noticed, and in fact, everybody noticed the lights.
Is there those birds there that are like in the handout, or no?
As the sun goes down, actually, there were some ravens fluttering around, but they seem to have all gone away with the sundown, as most of the birds, the birds that you could hear chirping have all quieted down too.
Can we discern from the light that we've seen in moving in the windows? Is it the windows are more frosted, you really can't make out the light, or you can, I'm just wondering if it looks like it's floating, or does it look like, maybe somebody carrying a candle? Does it have that flicker like a candlelight or something like that?
Seems to have a flicker like a natural fire source of some sort or another. And the movement, I'd say with the perception rolls you'd got, I would think you could perceive that the movement is in sync with someone of roughly human size moving around from one place to another with a light source like a candle or a lantern.
Probably not
Then I
diabolical.
believe Rain's instincts might serve him well.
Well,
Is
see,
there a knocker on the door?
it's not so much instincts as it is Rain is just fascinated by door knockers. They're really neat. So he just really wants to go ding, 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 ding with the door knocker.
Just when we think he's getting responsible.
Nope, the inner child of me went, door knocker, thunk, 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 thunk.
I can't.
Is there a door knocker on the door?
Sadly, yes, there is.
Sadly, yes.
We know what happens next.
With all of the exuberance of a child inside, I'm going to grab that door knocker and thunk, thunk, thunk.
And you can hear a sort of an echo from inside. So the stone walls outside are obviously carried on inside. You hear the clonk, clonk. And nothing.
We wait a polite moment or two.
Yeah, I'm going to count to 3 and do it again.
The sound echoes again. You can hear it clearly. And that is all you hear.
What was that thing?
I'm just going to step back and see if I see those lights still moving, or if they've extinguished themselves, or...
Give me another perception check. You think you see some, are you going around the building or just looking at the side you're at, or what?
I'll go around to the sides. I mean, I won't go totally around the building, but to either end, just to see if I
Okay.
can see where those lights are
I
moving.
think you see a light towards the back side of the building, but there's only one now and it's stationary.
Are you sharing this with everyone?
Yeah, I can share it. There's I will come back around and just tell everybody that there's only one light towards the back of the building now. So there's either whoever was walking around with the light probably either extinguished it or that maid just went to that back room. I'm going to give a try on the door.
I was going to suggest that Rain, your knocking didn't produce the results we were after. Perhaps you would see if the door is locked.
I will attempt to open said door.
You made careful inspection, Rain.
Right, with my hand.
Hell no.
I'm inspecting it with my hand. I'm going to try and open the door.
Gowan sort of pushes her little glasses up on her nose, and it's like, oh, for God's sakes. She would like to do a close inspection on the door before Rain's hand hits the door handle.
Do an investigation, please.
Taking my grandchildren out for an outing.
You don't see anything suspect on this door.
Oh, thank God.
Seems to be in order.
Well, I guess no one is home.
I'm going to try and open the door now as soon as I hear, oh, thank God.
And you place your hand on the door and give it a push, and it creaks open.
Oh, sorry,
Right.
Ting, you don't get to play with this door.
I'm going to be the difficult DM and stop it there.
It's actually a good time to pause.
It's a particularly good time to pause when you consider that I forgot to log the map, so I don't want to show it to you.
All
Real
right.
life DMing at its finest.
Well, that ends. This is the for anybody out there who's watching. If you come to a situation in a game where you're not prepared for what's next, and you can create this really nice little segue, use it.
Take it.
Take it anytime you need it. So, this is also real close to our quitting time anyhow. So everything's working in tandem. So I want to say thank you to everybody who came and joined and watched with us today. We will be back on, I don't know the calendar this well, the 23rd. We will be back on the 23rd playing a bit more of this. If you are interested in joining us at Nat 20 Academy, you can find the link in the description down below, or if you're in chat right now, I'm trying to get it. It's not giving me the link in the chat. So you'll have to look at the description down below. We've got the link to Discord there. You can join us on Nat 20 Academy if you want to help teach, if you want to learn more about playing or DMing. We do all of that. In the meantime, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you guys later.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.